As for the most important question, should you buy the shoes? Hi guys, it's Matt here. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone's doing fabulous. I'm back with another review, and today I'm going to be talking about a very hotly anticipated running shoe of recent times, and I believe it was very hotly anticipated last year, like the previous iteration of the shoes, and I'm sure it's going to be very hotly anticipated in the future too, because it's a Nike running shoe, and not just any Nike running shoe, but Nike's most expensive, bestest super shoe, the Nike Alphafly Next Percent 2, which came out. Did it came out? I think it came out. Was announced on the 15th of June. It was limited. It was released in very limited quantities in the UK anyway, in the Proto colorway. I don't think that it's available in the US just yet. There is no information on when it's actually going to be available in the US. It's coming soon. It's been coming soon for the last 3 weeks at least. I'm sure it will arrive eventually, but in the meantime, obviously, people in the good people in the UK can buy it. I've been lucky enough to be sent a review sample by Nike, but I'm not affiliated with Nike, and obviously they haven't got, they're not going to say anything, so they never. Well, I think it's kind of like a disclaimer what I'm trying to say here, basically. So they haven't seen this video before you guys do, and what I'm gonna tell you about the shoes are my thoughts and my thoughts only. So the Nike Air Zoom Alphafly Next Percent, Nike Air Zoom Alphafly Next Percent 2 came out on the, announced on the 15th of June. It cost £275 or $275 and £275, and it's available in the UK now. Well, in limited quantities. It's coming to the US very, very soon. It's the same price as the original Alphafly, which came out last year. Did it come out last year? I think it did. Anyhow, it's the same price as the original Alphafly, and very similar to the original Alphafly. Mainly because like those shoes were pretty good already. As you might know, Eliud Kipchoge broke the 2-hour marathon world record in the prototype version of the original Alphafly. Not the actual. I think there might have been more than one carbon plate in those shoes, and then the stack height was higher than what is legally allowed nowadays on races. Plus, obviously, it wasn't a real race setting either. However, he was running very, very fast. Obviously, he proved himself, many times over ever since then, and even before that he's a very capable long-distance runner. Anyway, that's beside the point. So the new Alphafly 2 is out. Very similar. You got obviously a low foam underfoot. You got a tight upper. It just looks super chunky. However, it's not quite as heavy. It's 269 grams. This is a UK men's 10, size 10. It's heavier than a lot of other quote-unquote super shoes. It's heavier than the Vaporfly 2s. Which is this one here. This is 228 grams. It's a 10.5 as well. It's heavier than the ASICS Metaspeed Edge Plus, which is 231 grams, a size 10 as well. And this is 269 grams. And then it's also heavier than the Adidas Adizero, sorry, I always mix it up, Adidas Adizero Adidas Pro 3, which I believe is around 244 grams, the size 10, UK size 10. So this is the heaviest of the lot. However, it doesn't feel quite heavy on when you put it on, something I'm going to be talking about like later on in the review. In this review, I'm going to be talking about basically all of the shoe, including the upper, how it fits, about the midsole, what you can expect if you buy the shoes, should you decide to buy the shoes, how it feels to run in the shoes, what to look out for, if there are any drawbacks of buying these shoes, and at the end, obviously, I'm gonna give a recommendation whether you should buy the shoes or not. So let's get right into it. But before we talk about the shoes and the specifications and the features of the shoe, let's just recap what's changed from the original, the first iteration of the shoes. Not an awful lot in terms of the running mechanics of the shoe. There are some tweaks to the shoe, and then probably the biggest change is the introduction of the new Atomnit 2.0 upper, which is set to give you more foot containment. It's supposed to be more breathable as well, and it just basically it's supposed to be provide an even better fit than the original Alphafly. And as well as that, you got more foam under the Air Zoom units. and then you got outsole as well, kind of reaching. So it's this kind of like midsection of the midsole has been reconstructed slightly. But interestingly enough, one of the other key changes of the shoe. So the original Alphafly had a 4mm drop, and again, both of these are like very close to the 40mm stack height limit of set by the World Athletics. So both of them have like a 40mm stack height under the heel, but the original Alphafly had a 4mm drop, and the new Alphafly 2 has an 8mm drop. So it has a bigger drop. However, they added more foam under the air zoom units. So not sure where the foam went. But in theory, the drop is more aggressive on the Alphafly 2s than it was on the Alphafly 1. And I think the actual shape of the heel has been redesigned as well, so slightly wider as well now, again for more stability. You still got all the perks. You can see you got the exposed carbon plate. You got obviously the sole, as you can see, obviously has been it's kind of like a two-part foam. You got like a big section at the rear. You got like kind of smaller, well, it's a similar size section, I guess, but you got the two air zoom units under your under the balls of the foot. It looks super chunky, but it's just surprisingly light, as I said, and some small changes, some bigger changes. From a running dynamic point of view, it's more like tweaks. From a fit point of view, there are like some major upgrades, really. Okay, let's start things off with the fit of the shoes. Again, this is one of the bigger changes that's been implemented by Nike. So you have the new Atom Knit 2.0 upper, which is set to be more breathable. It's supposed to contain the foot better, and in general it's just supposed to provide a better fit. Actually, to get in the shoes is not the easiest task at the beginning. So you got two pull tabs. You got one where the tongue of the shoes is supposed to be, it's an integrated tongue, so you haven't actually got a tongue. So you got a pull tab here, and you got a pull tab just behind the heels, and you kind of have to pull both of these to get your foot in, because that the opening, the upper is basically one unit. So to actually force your foot in the shoes, it does require a bit of getting used to, so to say. But once you get used to it, it's a quick process. But you do have to use both tabs to make sure you can step in the shoes properly and quickly. As soon as you kind of work out how to put them properly with both fingers in the tabs, it's not the worst not the worst process. And again, in return, you got an upper that very closely follows the contour of your foot, and again, it's very nice feeling when you run. So there's no chafing, there's no rubbing. It sits where it needs to sit. The upper, I didn't experience any chafing or anything really. This is a size 10 shoe. I'm kind of between size 10 and 10.5 usually, and then with the Vaporflies, I opted in for the 10.5s because they were a better fit. So I tried the 10s, they were a bit small, and I tried the 10.5s, they were the right size. With the Alphafly, I've been sent the size 10, so I was a bit conscious that it might not be a good fit, but it's perfect for me anyway. And again, it provides that kind of race tight fit. At the heel, you got a nice padded collar around the heel and the back of the heel, and then the heel counter, you can see it's a nice kind of rounded heel counter, so I didn't experience any discomfort running in the shoes, as long story short. Moving on to the bottom of the shoes, you got a quite sizable midsole, powered by the ZoomX foam. And I was thinking actually very recently, like Nike hasn't actually changed the ZoomX foam since the launch of the original ZoomX. Was it like the Vaporfly 4% or maybe the next percent? Have they actually changed the ZoomX? I don't. When you got like the Adidas, you got the Lightstrike Pro now. You got the Asics got the FF Blast Turbo. So they all kind of updating the phones, but I think Nike just kind of has the ZoomX, and then it's been the same since the beginning of time, essentially, since they started using the ZoomX foam. So I don't know if anyone knows this. If you could just like clarify this, or if you heard anything about it. I think it's the same foam essentially that's used everywhere else. Obviously the distribution of the foam is different than like in the Vaporflies or in the Alphafly, original Alphaflies, and like here you've got the air zoom unit as well as with the Vaporfly 2s. only have the ZoomX foam and then the carbon plate, and then here you got the carbon plate, you got the ZoomX foam, and then you got the air zoom units as well. You got the carbon plate, as I said, it's quite exposed. It's exposed here in the midsection. You can see it here as well. So obviously, because Nike is very keen on not adding heft to the shoes in terms of weight, just like how Adidas has cutaway sections of the Adidas Pro 3, well, and 2 as well, but in the case of the Alphaflys, the cutaway sections from the midsole are, as you can see, kind of in the middle and in areas where it doesn't really bother anyone's stride or gait cycle. Again, unlike in the Adidas Pro 3s, where the cutaway sections are like placed asymmetrically, so kind of on the lateral side and the medial side. So if you have any sort of deviation from the optimal sort of roll, then you're gonna feel those cutaways. But I didn't feel any of the the absence of the foam in the case of the Alphafly 2s. The heel to toe drop has been increased from 4mm to 8mm, but again, at the same time, they added extra foam under the air zoom unit as well, whereas previously this was just outsole, and now you got a little bit of air zoom unit, ZoomX foam there as well. Again, I can only assume that they have removed some foam from above the air zoom units, which is again fair play, because if you think about it, the ASICS, Metaspeed, Edge Plus and Sky Plus, ASICS have played around how to and where to put the carbon plate in the foam. So in the Edge Plus it's closer to the ground, and the Sky Plus it's closer to the foot. So I guess it's a similar situation here. So you got less foam between the air zoom units, and less foam between the carbon plate and your foot, and then they added a bit more foam underneath, but generally have removed some foam altogether from the forefoot section. Speaking of the forefoot section of the midsole, the toe spring is, again, because it's a high stack running shoe, this is how it's going to have a significant toe spring, so the curvature of the front of the sole, but so with the Edge Plus and with the Vaporfly, you got like a less steep curve, whereas here you got a more pronounced roll. Again, similar to the Adidas Pro 3, it's a high stack running shoe, so this kind of makes you roll faster, as opposed to the like if it was a longer, less sharp toe spring, which would be a bit more gentler. But in this case, the roll is quite pronounced, and again, combined with this 8mm drop, you'll pick up the pace pretty quickly, and it also enables you to run faster, and then kind of forces you to run your cadence, to increase your cadence to run in the shoes. So again, by design, it is made it is designed to make you run very, very fast, as expected, and it works in this case. How does it feel like to run in the shoes? I'm getting ready for my 10K race, which is this weekend, just a few days away, and I've been following my Garmin's daily workout suggestions. So I haven't done a very, very long run. So my runs were like around, the longest run was it like 14K in the shoes. I used it for anything between 6-7K to 14K, and it was it's super fast, it's super light, it's very interesting to run in the shoes, because they provide such a different running experience. I'm always a bit conscious when running shoes have a split midsole, because if it's not done properly, you could feel that section, and I think I mentioned this in my Under Armour Machina 3 review, because that has a dual density midsole, and dual density midsole is always like a bit hit and miss. Obviously it's not a dual density midsole, but you got the air zoom units at the front, you got the ZoomX foam at the back, and you got a massive gap here in the middle. So I was like, is it gonna bother me in the midsection of my of my foot? But it didn't bother me, and I think it's probably at least partially because of the carbon plate, which obviously sits on top of everything, of all the foam. So it helps you move through that gap without you noticing it, which is obviously super important, because if it bothered you, then you wouldn't be able to run very, very long fast for long. I guess I was looking forward to try the shoes, and because of that, I guess I hyped there quite a lot in my head, because I didn't think I could try them, but then I ended up receiving the review sample, and I was like, I'm just gonna I just couldn't wait to try them. But at the same time, I was like a bit like cautious about the size. I was cautious about, you know, again, the cutaway sections based, you know, after what I experienced with the Adidas Pro 3s. So I was like, how is it going to be? But again, running experience in these is super nice. I call these the forever running shoes because it feels like you can run in them forever. There's so much, like when you descend, the other thing that I like always appreciate in shoes when you descend, and you probably know this already, you know, like you kind of, I guess a lot of people who not into running think that, oh, it must be super nice to descend, you know, to kind of run downhill because you can run really fast. But in reality, you have to, you know, pace yourself and slow yourself down, which puts a lot of effort and a lot of strain on the joints, especially, you know, the ankles and the knees. And I appreciate a shoe that mitigates that effect on my joints. And these shoes definitely did that, because obviously there's a lot of foam under the heel. So it helped me control descents very, very well. And again, because of the ASIM units and because of the carbon plate and because of the, you know, because of the toe spring, changing speed in the shoes is also like instantaneous. So you could switch up tempo at any point. And again, because it preserves the legs as well, you never feel like that you can't go a bit faster. Right. Again, I haven't tried this for a marathon just yet. I've got some marathons coming on later on the year, so I can't wait to give these a try and see how it actually works over, you know, very long distances as well. Well, not very long distances, but long distances. But for you know, for the 14K run, for example, that I had, I was just like flying through it basically. I mean, I was like, I could just run another 14K really. It did feel like that I could just run in these shoes without you know, the tarmac having any effect on the legs, the mileage having any effect on the legs. It's just super comfortable, and I mean, I can't believe how well it's designed. It's just really nice. And again, the upper was super comfortable as well. Again, it's a race tight fit, so you know, you shouldn't expect a plush running experience like a New Balance 1080, you know, Fresh Foam X 1080 V12. This is for running fast. This is for putting the work in and getting as much out as you can, and it is for preserving legs when you run fast, so you can push yourself quite hard. And because of the drop, again, because of the toe spring, because of the carbon plate and everything, you will end up pushing yourself a bit more than you would think you might. The Alphafly 2s are like crazy fast. So if I ever want, like, I'm gonna run a lot and I'm gonna run that, I want to run a lot fast, I will definitely pick the Alphafly 2s. As for the most important question, should you buy the shoes? Yes, you should buy the shoes, but only if you need shoes for long distance racing and you want to push yourself to absolute limits. I think that the tweaks definitely improved from you know, the Alphafly 2s from the Alphafly 1. However, the Alphafly 1 can be bought, you know, cheaper now thanks to the actual, because of the release of the Alphafly 2. And unless you're an athlete who's reaching the maximum capacity and maximum speed, you might not be able to benefit that much from the improvements of the Alphafly 2. So you might not be able, like an athlete that is looking for marginal gains need these shoes, basically what I'm trying to say. So if you're a pro athlete, or if you're, you know, like a high mileage, high performing athlete, runner, you're gonna need these shoes to be able to, you know, break through yet another barrier and then, you know, shave off a few seconds off your marathon PB. If you're not that person, if you just, you know, you can run fast but not super fast, or, you know, if you can't even run fast, you're not going to be able to enjoy the benefits of the 2 over the 1, let's say the Alphafly 1s, because they are very, very good shoes too, right? So you don't have to, like, you know, sit on the Nike website and wait for a drop of the Alphafly 2s, so just so you can get the latest shoe, because you are better off, you know, you could be better off with the Alphaflys because they're cheaper, they're more available. You could also get the Vaporfly 2 Next Percent. Vaporfly Next Percent 2s, that's the one. And again, is it like, are these shoes better than the Vaporfly Next Percent 2 or the Edge Plus or the Sky Plus or the Adidas Pro 3? Yes and no. For So I would think that this is the ultimate marathon running shoe, because there's a lot of foam. The dynamics of the shoe is near perfect. The fit is brilliant. But if you're not an elite marathon runner, you might not be able to make the most of these shoes, because other super shoes would work pretty well for you too. And again, the shoes are hyped because this is a Nike shoe, and Nike shoes will always be hyped. And this is not just a Nike shoe, but a Nike super shoe. And it's the combination of the two will get people aroused no matter what. And you have to understand that Nike is a brand that knows full well how to sell everything, and especially shoes. So if you think about it, the limited quantity release of the original proto colorway and people jumping on buying these is something that Nike learned from selling sneakers and limited edition sneakers. There is obviously no need for shoes to be released in limited quantities now, but by making the supply feel limited, Nike can obviously generate a lot of interest in the shoes. And the other thing you have to keep in mind, that because it's a limited colorway, limited edition Nike shoe essentially, people who are not interested in running will also be interested in the shoes. So I think that a lot of sneakerheads are also buying up the shoes because it's kind of like a good investment as well. This is like the original colorway of the Alphafly 2, so why wouldn't you get it? It's great. It's it's expensive, but that just adds to the appeal as well. So it is just tricky to get these shoes very, very early. And again, as I said, unless you're like a very high performing athlete, there is not much, you shouldn't feel bad if you missed out on the initial drop. There are going to be plenty more. I remember 2 years ago when the pandemic hit, people couldn't buy the Vaporflies. They were just sold out everywhere because everyone all of a sudden obviously started running. And now you can buy Vaporflies for, well, not for super cheap, but definitely cheaper, and they're still excellent running shoes. Again, the Next Percent 2 is available. The Vaporfly Next Percent 2 is also available in many colorways, in many sizes. Super running shoes for long distance runners. Again, if you want like half marathon, you can definitely choose these ones as well over these. But again, all that said, these are amazing running shoes. Again, I don't want to hype these anymore, but I think this is gonna be my go-to long distance marathon running shoe, going forward, until I found something that is better than this, which I'm not sure I will, because there was a lot of big ticket super shoe releases recently. But if there's gonna be something similarly well performing shoes, I look forward to testing it as well. But for now, I think these are the ones I'm gonna use for performance runs over long distances. So that was it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the review. I tried to stay as unbiased as possible, which is quite hard because it's like being part of a jury, really. You try not to read news, you try not to write reviews and try to read anything, but eventually you're going to end up reading about these because you work in industry, you're interested in the shoes. So obviously I read a lot about the Alphafly 2s before I managed to try them. And I spoke to a lot of runners who used the original Alphaflys, and they were all, they were very, very enthusiastic about the shoes as well. So it's quite hard not to build up sort of an expectation in your head. However, even with that high expectation, even with me not being sure whether I can use the shoes properly, I was very pleasantly surprised with the shoes. And they're just really good, I mean, long story short, they're just like really good running shoes. Again, probably they're not the shoes that you're going to be able to put on for like thousands and thousands of miles. I'm sure there's the Zoom X is going to have like a 400 or 500 mile life cycle. So again, expensive shoes, but very, very good shoes. So I'm super glad that I could actually give them a try. Again, if you can't get hold of the Alphafly 2s, get the original Alphaflys. They're equally as good. They are cheaper now in a lot of places, and you could run really, really fast in those too. So maybe you should try those. Thank you for watching, guys. Probably it's another long review. I don't even know how long it's gonna cut down into eventually. I love making these videos, and what I love even more is hearing from you guys, you know, your comments and feedback and likes, and you know, when you guys subscribe, that just, you know, means the world to me. So again, there's more content coming, guys. If you're interested in running shoes, running watches, headphones, you name it, you know, please subscribe to, you know, consider subscribing to the channel, because there's more of these coming very, very soon. Thank you for watching this video, and have a lovely day, guys. Yeah, cheers, bye bye.